Okay, so welcome to True North Insight. My name is Jill Davey, and one of the Dharma teachers with True North Insight. Thanks for dropping in, and thank you especially to the Zoom group that's here, chatting and sharing insights and community together. So tonight, I could probably do a whole series on lessons learned from my piano teacher, or the Dharma of piano. And yeah, so today, she wrote in my little notebook of notes for the next week of practice, except for holidays are coming, so a little bit longer. And this is a direct quote here. Try not to dwell on the imperfect, end quote. And I was like, as soon as she said it, I was like, oh, that's a Dharma talk right there. And so I've been reflecting on that since. And because I don't like making mistakes. I think maybe lots of us maybe don't tend to like making mistakes, but maybe that's an assumption. And my body actually like cringes when my hands make a mistake. I can hear it right away, and I'm like, gah. And it stops me like mid stride in the middle of a song. And if I make like a few mistakes, I kind of go, forget it, and I start again. Even if she hasn't asked me to, I'm just like, oh, I can't stand it, and I start again. And so she was trying to teach me today, like, just keep going. So I'm practicing with this, like it makes me wince just thinking about it, is I make a mistake and then just keep playing. Oh my God, it's hard. It's very hard. And so I've been practicing that when I make a mistake, I just keep playing to the end of the song, but I notice where it is so that I go back and, practice through that part a bit more, etc. And she was also pointing out that if I fix the mistake right away, like I hit the wrong note and then fix it and correct the note right away, it's kind of like bad reinforcement, because I'm making this track in my mind to keep making the mistake and fixing it, make the mistake and fix it. And instead of like learning it, just going through it, noticing it, and then correcting it. Yeah, kind of like rewarding a dog that's doing something bad, and then you're like trying to get them away, so you give them a treat and it reinforces the negative. But this whole thing of trying not to dwell on the imperfect is like maybe some of you have heard me refer to this quite a bit. It's certainly not my thought, but our negativity bias that's built into human beings as part of our survival mechanism as a species, as animals, that the brain is actually wired to have more impressions when negative things happen. It sticks more. It has, and to train us to survive as animals. And so part of it is our conditioning and our culture. We were talking in the Zoom group here about this, about our culture and society and the ideas of how things should be, how we should be, how others should be, etc. And part of it is part of being a human being, that we have this negativity bias. And some of us just don't like making mistakes. And and it's interesting that one of the translations of dukkha, which is what we're here to practice, is understanding and seeing dukkha and the ending of dukkha. So dukkha is a Pali word that means, one of the translations of it is unsatisfactoriness, which is a really helpful definition. Sometimes it's often referred to as suffering, which maybe we can't always relate to because, yes, we all experience suffering, but sometimes it's just like unsatisfactoriness, like just a wrong note on the piano, just a little glitch in our art or our creativity or our all the everythings, all the everythings, and unsatisfactoriness, that it's just not quite right, it's not perfect, and how our this unsatisfactoriness is fueled by clinging. Clinging to what? Clinging to mostly me, how I want to be, how I want to be seen, how I want the world to see me, how I want to be known and respected, and etc. That's the main underlying source of what we're clinging to, is an idea of how we want to be in the world. And so I was looking at shifting, like, what is my underlying intention? So if I'll just stick to the mundane for right now, for talking about piano and piano lessons, that like, why am I doing piano lessons? What's my intention? And it was to learn, to improve, to enjoy, and to relax is what came up for me. To learn and continue improving in my ability on that instrument, and also to enjoy it, and it's a source of mindfulness for me, and a source of relaxation. And so remembering that intention helps to ease my clinging to the unsatisfactoriness, where I stop myself and I get glitched up. I'm holding my breath, my body gets tense when I'm like, oh, keep making mistakes today. Oh, I played it perfectly at home. Really, I did. She's like, they all say that, honey. And so looking at what my underlying intention is helps me to remember, oh yeah, I'm doing this to enjoy myself, and to improve, and all these different reasons. And so if we look at this in maybe a bigger scope, what is my underlying intention? Let's get really grand, in this life. From piano lessons to life. What is my underlying intention in every day in this life that I'm here, in this amazing incarnation? What's up with that? Is like, yeah, pretty similar to piano. I want to learn. I want to improve. I want to enjoy. And I would also add, I want to be kind. I want to be a source of, not a source of like as in me, source of, but in relationship with others, to ease suffering in whatever minute ways I can, to be of service in some way in this life. That would be great. And so looking at what is our underlying intention with whatever the thing is that we're getting stuck on the perfection of. Why am I doing this? What do I really want out of it? Some were talking about schoolwork, like, what's my intention here? Oh, it's to maybe learn this, to improve, to have these skills to offer to the world. And am I getting that? Yeah. Do I need to be an A+ student to do that? Maybe not. No. And also, maybe I'm doing it to enjoy, to relax, to, because it's pleasurable. So check that out for yourself about when you find you're getting stuck or sticking on something, sticking on unsatisfactoriness. So what the Buddha said he taught was not, when asked, wasn't I teach mindfulness or I teach meditation. What he said was, I teach dukkha and the ending of dukkha. So I teach about unsatisfactoriness that's fueled by clinging to how we want things to be, especially ourselves, most especially ourselves. And the ending of dukkha, the ending of the clinging. Things are still going to be unsatisfactory and imperfect. Things are still going to be imperfect, like really imperfect. It's a hot mess out there. Oh, chihuahuas are chiming in about that. I'm probably going to have to mute if they really get going. And so to look at, yeah, everything is still going to be imperfect. The freedom, the release, the peace, happiness, ease is found from not clinging. To see, how do we not cling? We see where we are holding on. As soon as we see what we're holding on to, an idea of who I am and how I'm going to be and how I want people to see me, or how I want other people to be, how I want everything to be, just in the bare seeing of it, mindfulness of it, there's an opportunity. Oh, I could keep clinging to that, or right there, it can be held loosely. It can let go. Letting go doesn't happen like, oh, it drives me nuts when people say, just let go, just let it go. Just let it go. It's like, what if I could just let it go? I totally would have by now. Like you can't let go unless you see where you're holding on. As soon as you see where you're holding on, letting go can happen. But yeah. What I mean by holding on is we're actually adding fuel. When we're clinging to something, it's not just in a moment, it's being fueled. We're reinforcing it all the time with that voice. You are, you're never going to be, you never were. They sure aren't. This is never going to be. We're fueling it every time we layer on these inner commentary of cruelty. You wouldn't talk to your bestie that way, but to ourselves, oh yeah. Yeah. So try not to dwell on the imperfect, and get through the song. Don't get stuck on it, glitched on it. And in that way, you can come back and begin again. We come back and begin again once the song is finished, and continue moving through, maybe one hand at a time, slowing it down, all these other ways, rather than getting stuck on. And every time I would get stuck on a place, it's because of me. I want to nail it, get it just right, preferably right away. It's not going to happen, but it's Yeah, so pay attention to what's unsatisfactory in your life and look to it. See, am I fueling that? Am I fueling it with my clinging? And in the seeing of it, letting go happens. It's held loosely and it's already changing right then, right in that moment. When it's not fueled, it's already changed. Oh, it's a bit lighter. Oh, I see that clearly. I don't have to add to that. Yeah. And you might find you're happier. I'm pretty darn sure you will be. Buddha said so. But Buddha also said, don't take his word for it. Certainly don't take my word for it. Check it out for yourself. This is what the Buddha said, is not to rely on hearsay, not to rely on books or teachers or community, etc. We have to check it out for ourselves, know for yourself. Clinging, dukkha, and the ending of dukkha, the ending of the unsatisfactoriness. Life will still be imperfect, but it doesn't have to be unsatisfactory. All right, then, let's practice, because practicing in this kind of formal way, it's a little bit contrived, it's not just our everyday rolling along, seeking and getting rid of. We're sitting still, paying attention in a particular way, it's the lesson, it's the piano lesson, it's the practice that fuels our awareness in our daily life. Okay, so like a piano lesson, we want to sit up straight. If you're having physical pain, it's also okay to practice laying down. If there's a lot of sleepiness for you, you could practice standing up. You want to get some props and supports so that you're as comfortable as possible while still inviting wakefulness and uprightness in your posture. So if you're laying down and have this intention, our practice is about awakening. So we want wakefulness in our practice. So if you're laying down, you might lift up your forearm so that it will fall and wake you up if you're falling asleep. Or you could bend your knees and keep your knees apart so that they kind of fall apart or together if you're falling asleep, and that will wake you up to start again, begin again, start at the beginning again. So finding what supports you need to have some relative ease in your posture. And also uprightness, energy, wakefulness. And so we bring the body into our meditation posture, and then we also bring our eyes into a posture for practice. Some of us find it helpful to lessen distraction by closing our eyes. But if there's a lot of sleepiness for you, or for other reasons, you might choose to practice with your eyes open but relaxed. Just a bit of light coming in for wakefulness and a sense of presence and seeing where you are. And as we settle into this stillness and uprightness, we're inviting some ease now, just relaxing any extra tension that isn't needed in this moment. So check out the muscles of the face. And the muscles of the neck and throat. Seeing if some widening, softening, letting go can happen right there by seeing what's being held on to. Is there tension that's being held on to unconsciously or consciously? And just by feeling it in that moment, there's an opportunity to open, to let it be of its nature changing. And continue letting your attention travel downwards, softening any inner muscles of the belly that feel like they can release a little. You might notice the hands. Anything being held on to energetically. And as the upper body relaxes a little bit, we may feel more presence, groundedness, weightedness through the pelvis, legs, feet. And then as we feel a little more embodied and present, resting, grounded, upright, we'll now choose an anchor for our practice. So the anchor is, I think of it as a resting place. It's a it can be hearing, could be your anchor if there's a lot of sounds in your environment. Noticing how sounds come and go from sources beyond our control. And in the moments between sounds, there's just awareness resting there, open, to the experience of hearing as it comes and goes. And hearing can be a particularly insightful practice, especially when there's some sounds that may be unpleasant and others that may be pleasant. And then we can really notice unsatisfactoriness fueled by clinging. How we want to get rid of sounds we don't like and hold on to ones we do like. Many people say they can't meditate because it's too noisy in their environment. And it can actually be very fruitful to practice with all the natural sounds that are around you. And so you could continue for this rest of this period with hearing meditation. It's a helpful anchor if you tend to have anxiety or get too contracted around breath. The other option is to rest with the anchor or the resting place of of breathing meditation. In the same way that sounds are coming and going, breath is coming and going. And tonight we're paying attention to any places where we're clinging. And at the times when we notice our attention has moved from our anchor of the sounds or the breath. Notice if there's any harshness or dwelling on imperfection. And see that in the moments of noticing, there's strong mindfulness right there. Oh, attention has gone elsewhere, and we gently begin again. With our intention here to cultivate, to learn mindfulness, and to relax and to be kind. What does it feel like if we bring these intentions to the fore as we rest with the anchor? Really let it be surrounded by ease and kindness. Notice if there's striving. And in these last 5 minutes of the practice is when we really get into the tricky bits of the piece, of the song, of the practice. And so you might need to double up on the kindness. ease up on the perfection. In those bright moments of beginning again, you see if there's a little glimpse of any harshness, any critical self-talk about, oh, my mind's gone again. I'm not doing it right. Let's see if that's there. And just in the seeing of it, there's an opportunity for it to be held loosely. And in a moment, as I ring the bowl, and just before that, just checking in to your intention for practice and see. Is your practice creating more ease, kindness, calm? Transitioning from that practice in the way that's meaningful for you. And if you've joined us on the YouTube channel, there'll be some links down below there of a New Year's retreat that's coming up. Depending when you're watching, it may have passed, but if you're watching recently, there will be a link there for that to check out. Thanks for joining us.